There is a nightmare that lives in the collective human psyche. It is not a ghost, nor a demon. It is the sea. Specifically, the deep blue silence where light dies and pressure crushes steel. And in that darkness, for millions of years, there was a heartbeat that shook the ancient oceans. We call it Megalodon. But the name has become a legend, twisted by Hollywood and late-night cable shows into a dragon of impossible size. Today, we separate fact from fiction. We are going to dive into the true history of the largest predatory shark that has ever lived. This is not a monster movie. This is the real story of a super predator, told in bone, stone, and the scars left on the bodies of whales. For most of human history, we didn't know sharks existed, but we did find their teeth. In medieval Europe, large triangular stones found embedded in cliffs were called glossopetra, or tongue stones. People believed they were the tongues of dragons or serpents petrified during the Great Flood. It wasn't until the 17th century that a Danish naturalist named Nicholas Steno looked at a glossopetra and realized this shape is identical to the tooth of a modern shark, just much larger. Steno didn't know what shark it belonged to, but he had opened the door.
He had proven that the past was populated by giants, but the dragon myth persisted. Even as we dug up the teeth, we refused to believe the ocean had once held a shark the size of a tractor trailer. We weren't ready. By the 19th century, the scientific community had a name: Carcharocles megalodon, later reclassified by some as Otodus megalodon. But the name doesn't matter. What matters is the geometry of the killer. Let's look at the evidence. The only fossils we have of megalodon are its teeth and vertebrae. Cartilage does not fossilize well. But teeth? Teeth are armored time capsules. A large adult megalodon tooth measures over 7 inches from root to tip. Running your finger along the serrated edge, you feel the borrowed design from the mako shark, but scaled up to nightmare proportions. To date, we have found thousands of these teeth on every continent except Antarctica. They litter the bottom of the Chesapeake Bay. They erode out of the cliffs of Peru. They lie in the deep channels of the South Pacific.
Sharks shed teeth constantly, sometimes thousands in a lifetime. This means the fossil record is biased. Every tooth we find is a snapshot. And those snapshots tell us that Megalodon was a global species. It had no natural enemy, except time. From these teeth, we have reverse-engineered the beast. Length? Up to 60 feet, 18 meters. That's the length of a bowling lane. Weight? Up to 50 tons, heavier than a fully loaded semi-truck. Bite force? Estimates range up to 40,000 pounds per square inch. For context, a Tyrannosaurus rex bit at 8,000 psi. Megalodon didn't just bite prey. It unzipped the universe for them. For decades, artists drew Megalodon as a giant great white shark. That was an error. Recent research using 3D modeling on the vertebrae suggests a different body plan. Megalodon was stockier. Its girth was enormous to support its massive liver, which it used for buoyancy control. It had a shorter, broader snout to accommodate larger jaw muscles, and its pectoral fins were elongated to allow it to glide slowly through the water without wasting energy, like a stealth bomber of the Miocene epoch. This wasn't a speed demon. It was an ambush predator, a heavyweight boxer who only needed one punch. But size is nothing without a diet. Who was on the menu?
Look at this. A fossilized baleen whale vertebrae dating to 10 million years ago. See those parallel grooves? Those are the serrations of a megalodon tooth dragged across the bone. We have found whale ribs with chunks bitten out of them. We have found the fossilized tailbones of ancient sperm whales with deep V-shaped gouges. Megalodon had a strategy. It would attack the flippers and tail of a large whale first, crippling it. Unable to swim, the whale would sink. With the prey immobilized, the shark would then go for the rib cage, crushing the thorax and destroying the heart and lungs. It didn't eat people. We didn't exist yet. It ate leviathans. To understand the megalodon, we must understand its stage, the Cenozoic era. The dinosaurs were gone. The world was warm. The oceans were high and rich with nutrients. This was the age of whales. As the ancestors of modern humpbacks and blues grew larger, the sharks had to match them. Megalodon evolved around 23 million years ago in the early Miocene. It was born into a buffet line. Marine mammals like dugongs, sea lions, and the first giant baleen whales. The shark's nursery grounds were warm, shallow coastal waters, like the modern Caribbean or the Mediterranean, but teeming with life. Geography was on the megalodon's side. The Isthmus of Panama had not yet closed. Warm, equatorial water flowed freely between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. This superhighway allowed Megalodon to travel globally, hunting the migrating whale herds. It was the undisputed apex predator. For 13 million years, longer than the reign of the T-Rex, Megalodon ruled. But predators are dependent on their prey, and the world was about to turn cold. Around 5 million years ago, the Pliocene epoch arrived. The climate shifted. The planet began to cool. The Isthmus of Panama closed, severing the ocean circulation. The Arctic ice cap began to form. The warm, shallow seas that were megalodon nurseries shrank. But the real killer wasn't the cold. It was the chain reaction. As the climate cooled, the great baleen whales evolved. They grew thicker blubber to survive the cold. They developed new migratory routes to polar feeding grounds. And crucially, they got smart. This is the twist in the story. While Megalodon was a lone sniper, the new whales evolved social defense, and a new competitor arrived, the ancestors of the modern orca. Orcas are not solitary. They hunt in packs with intricate language and strategy. A single megalodon could kill a large whale, but it took time, energy, and risk. A pod of killer whales can harass a shark, ram its gills, and flip it over, inducing tonic immobility, a paralytic state. Against a pack of highly intelligent, coordinated dolphins, a 60-foot shark becomes a liability. It cannot turn fast enough. It cannot hide. The apex predator had become the target. But even then, Megalodon did not go extinct overnight. It was a slow, whittling death. For a long time, scientists believed Megalodon died out 1.5 million years ago. That is false. Recent rigorous dating, published in peer-reviewed journals, has moved the goalpost. The youngest Megalodon fossils ever found date to approximately 3.6 million years ago. That is the last known appearance. But here is the chilling truth. 3.6 million years ago is a geological blink of an eye, and we have found nothing since. Nothing. The extinction was likely a two-punch combo. First punch, the loss of coastal nursery grounds due to ice ages. Baby megalodons needed warm, shallow bays to grow safely. Without those bays, popping rates crashed. Second punch, the loss of prey. As baleen whales shifted to the poles, the tropics became a food desert for a shark that required 2,500 pounds of food per day. Starvation set in. By 3 million years ago, the giant was gone. The teeth stopped falling. The shadow lifted. And yet, the question persists. Is Megalodon still alive? Every year, Discovery Channel's Shark Week teases the idea. YouTube is flooded with pixelated footage claiming a 70-foot shark off the coast of South Africa. Let us be clear, because science demands clarity. The Megalodon is unequivocally extinct. For a population of giant sharks to survive for 3.6 million years without detection, they would have to hide in the deep abyss. But here is the problem. The deep sea is a desert. There was not enough biomass to feed a 50-ton warm-blooded shark. Megalodon was a coastal predator. Its teeth are found in shallow marine sediments, not deep trenches. If it lived in the deep, we would not find its fossils on mountaintops, which were once seafloors. Furthermore, a shark that large would need to breathe. It would come to the surface. We have sonar coverage of 90% of the shipping lanes. We have 4K cameras on every phone. Every whale carcass that floats to the surface is monitored. We have found zero evidence. No, the Megalodon is dust. Its teeth are now fossils sold in rock shops. The only place it swims is in our nightmares. So why does this matter? Why tell the story of a dead fish? Because the Megalodon teaches us a lesson we are ignoring today. It was not murdered by a comet. It was not killed by a volcano. Megalodon went extinct because of gradual climate change and habitat loss. The oceans cooled by just a few degrees. The sea levels dropped by a few hundred feet. And the largest predator on Earth simply faded away. It couldn't adapt fast enough. Look at the tooth in your hand. 7 inches of serrated ivory. That tooth represents 13 million years of evolutionary perfection. And it was undone by a shift in the thermostat.
Today, the great white shark, the distant, smaller cousin of Megalodon, is vulnerable. Ocean temperatures are rising faster now than they did during the Pliocene. The whale migrations are shifting again. The nurseries are vanishing. We look at Megalodon and see a monster, but we should see a mirror. It was the ultimate expression of its environment. When the environment changed, the king fell. The true story of the Megalodon is not one of terror. It is a eulogy for stability. It is a reminder that the ocean is brutally unforgiving to those who grow too large, too specialized, and too comfortable. The last Megalodon died 3.6 million years ago. It was likely alone, too big to find a mate, too hungry to find enough food. It sank to the seafloor, and its cartilaginous skeleton dissolved into the chemical soup from which all life springs. But the legend remains.
Not because it is real, but because the ocean is still dark, still deep, and we are still very, very small. Megalodon, the big tooth, the lord of the Miocene. It is gone. But for 3 terrifying minutes in a museum, when you stand under that jaw, it feels very much alive. And that is the true story of the Megalodon.